On this episode of the Crested Butte is Home podcast, my guest is Cooper Ott, and she has been winning one Enduro bike race after another this summer. Also last summer, actually. But for those of you who don't know, Enduro bike races basically combine the ability to be able to go up and get to the top of the trails that we ride around Crested Butte and Gunnison and everywhere else. But then you have to be able to go back down quicker than anybody else. So that's what Enduro is. We were going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about her involvement with coaching the next generation of mountain bikers. And thank you so much, everyone who has left a review on Apple Podcasts. I've noticed quite a few of those 5-star reviews. I really appreciate it. And if you have time and you haven't left one, I'd love a review there, or Stitcher or Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And let's get on with the show. Today on Crested Butte is Home, my guest is Cooper Ott. And Cooper, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and how you got to Crested Butte?
All right. So I'm from Michigan originally, northern Lower Peninsula, if you're familiar, and then went to school up in Marquette, Michigan, up on Lake Superior, the coast.
And that's the Upper Peninsula, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
way
cool.
Up in the UP, eh? and got into mountain biking up there and met my husband now, Phil, and did a lot of biking, and we came out here on a couple ski vacations and a mountain bike vacation. And after the mountain bike trip, we spent the whole drive back trying to figure out how we could move out here and if we could make it work and things like that. And about a year later, we were out here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you just did it after one summer trip and a couple of winter trips, huh?
Yeah. Phil actually spends a lot of time out here in the summers working some construction jobs with his friend's dad. And so he had been in the area and had been here before. So we didn't just close our eyes and pick a spot on the map. We kind of knew a little bit. You kind of knew a little bit about it and had some history, or at least he did, maybe more than you, but cool. Yeah.
Nice. So these days you are not just riding bikes, but you're racing bikes. So tell us a little bit about that and how you got started with that.
Yeah, so I actually started racing my sophomore year at college, just racing in the summers, and I started loving it. And I actually raced cross country, and I spent my summers racing all the races in the UP. Was one of my goals one year, to hit every race that there was.
Is there like a Michigan series or something like that, or just random events?
Just random events, but they were all awesome, and they were just very different from one another. There's one that stands out in my mind. It's called Miner's Revenge, and you actually got to go through a mine during the race,
really
underground.
Oh, that's super cool.
Wear headlamps and turn on your headlamp, and it would be like, I think it was 39 degrees is like whatever the ground temperature is. It's all the time, and so
wow, that must have felt really good if it was a hot summer day.
It was like, it would be like 80 degrees, and you go inside, and it's just foggy from everyone's sweat in there.
Oh wow.
That was super cool, but I spent a lot of time racing races like that, and then also racing the Wisconsin Off-Road Series, which is more of a nationally known.
So they had a series there.
They did, yep. Spent a couple seasons racing wars, and then just Enduro was kind of a back burner thing. It was what I did on my off race weekends for fun, and we would go to a race where they'd have an Enduro race, a cross-country race, and a downhill race, and I would race all of them. And it was just a blast to hang out and not have to lose sleep over nerves and getting nervous about racing, and race Enduro for fun. That's changed slightly.
Because that one was just for fun. That one you didn't care about. You were concentrating on the cross-country.
Yeah, I was full cross-country.
Gotcha.
And one of the reasons we moved out here, not a huge reason, but was to be closer to more competitive cross-country races.
Okay.
And the first spring that we moved out here, I raced the Whiskey 50 in Prescott at the end of April. Yeah. And my soul just got crushed, and I was like, what did we do? We moved out here, and this is
why did your soul get crushed?
It was like a huge wake-up call for a Michigan girl that climbs like 10-minute climbs all the time, and not these hour-long climbs or hour-and-a-half long climbs. And it had 7,000 feet of climbing in it, and it was just like completely different than what I was used to. And it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. And then the very next weekend, we went to race the Moab Enduro Cup. And that was my first Enduro out here. And it was a disaster. I crashed. I almost every single run and had to run up a climb because I was in the wrong gear. And we got down to the bottom, and Phil asked me how it went, and I was like, it was awesome, and this is the only thing I'm ever going to do ever again.
No more cross country.
No more cross country after that, which is not true. I totally raced more cross country races, but
but your focus was already switching.
Yeah. Kind of switched my focus to enduro. Kind of abandoned most of my cross country plans for the entire season. I had already signed up for all of the all the epic rides and changed to signing up for all of the big mountain enduros. And
nice.
Actually, I ended up winning that whole series that year, which was
awesome. It was clearly your calling.
Yeah.
So I've done a little bit of, I've raced a tiny bit, but only 24-hour races in cross country and stuff. So, and some people might not know. So what is enduro?
Enduro is the greatest race ever created. No.
Okay then.
No, it's more like a fun hangout group ride all the way up to the top of these stages where you spend X amount of time climbing. It kind of depends on the area. Here,
there's a time limit, right? That's how it...
Depending on the race.
Okay.
A lot of the races that I race are a little more lenient. The Enduro World Series races are pretty strict on getting to your start on time.
Okay.
But you hang out, go up the climb pretty slowly, and then once you get to the top, you have a couple minutes to regroup, get your knee pads on, get your elbow pads on, whatever you need to do, eat a snack, and then it's sort of like downhill ski racing at that point where you're the only one on course. They say ready, set, go, or you hear your time go, and you go, and then there's a finish line at the bottom, and that's where your time stops.
Yeah, okay.
And so they're mostly downhill stages. There are courses that have little climbs or are more pedally than other courses, and then there's also courses that are more like a downhill course.
Okay, gotcha.
Where sometimes you do wish you had a downhill bike, but you can't pedal, or you don't want to pedal a downhill bike up there. So
gotcha. Because then, but you could if you wanted to. Is especially if there was no time limit, you could pedal a full downhill bike up if you wanted to.
You could do it if you wanted to.
But you might be too tired at the top and not ride well because you're beat up and...
Yeah, or...
Is that the idea, or...
Yeah, that is. Sometimes the courses... My favorite enduro races are the ones that have a really good variety of trails in the race. And so it showcases the trails in the area, and it also is a little bit... more like the downhill oriented person might not be the fastest on every stage and things like that. I think it really shows the best all around rider. And so I think those kind of races are really cool.
Gotcha.
A little bit of straight up downhill tracks, a little bit of pedally or more trail style courses. I love the variety. It keeps you on your toes, and it makes it so riding an enduro bike is the fastest bike to ride.
Gotcha. So to go back to a ski analogy, almost like a combine where you're supposed to be good at slalom and downhill.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Showcasing a wide variety of skills.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah. I grew up downhill ski racing, so that's where all my
Oh, nice. Me too.
Yeah.
Cool. So are there a lot of other women racing enduro, or is it totally guy dominated?
Like other sports, there are definitely more men than women. Yeah. However, at the last race I went to in Angel Fire, New Mexico, there were 15 pro women, which is an awesome field.
Nice.
It's a good size field. I very rarely, when I was racing cross country, did I race 15 women. And so the enduro definitely has a strong showing.
Yeah.
When you go into the Enduro World Series level races, I've raced against 55 pro women, so
it gets way bigger,
way higher level competition, and just it's amazing.
Nice. Well, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but so there's a World Cup. So how do you qualify for the World Cup then?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways to get into qualifying for the race. There are a couple races in Colorado or in the U.S. that are Enduro World Series qualifiers. Okay. So if you place in a certain race at a certain level or place, then you can qualify to get pre-entry into the Enduro World Series races. Okay. And so it happens a little bit before they do the lottery for the rest of the racers. And so if you qualify, you can have early entry, and you can, during the week before, you can pay for the races that you want to do. Otherwise, you're playing the lottery, and there's only a certain amount of spots open in every race, and they're drawing names.
Really? So they just draw names based on the pro circuit, which is the one below the world circuit or whatever?
No, actually, you can put your name in the hat. So The first year that we moved out here, and I didn't have any races under my belt and didn't have any real way for them to see where I was kind of like within the U.S. women's standings and things like that. I just I filled out the lottery application and waited to hear back to see if I got in.
And you did get in.
I did get in, yep.
Nice.
And Phil also got in, which was awesome because it was our first year out here and we were able to travel there. It was just in Aspen, so travel over to Aspen together.
Nice. So you got to do that.
Yeah, it was it's really hard to describe racing against 55 of the fastest women in the world.
Right.
It's amazing. It's really cool.
Nice. So do you ride with, is Phil almost if he's not riding, racing as well, is he almost like your coach sometimes too? Or how's your guys' relationship with your racing?
Yeah, definitely. So I like to think of him as my skills coach. He's really supportive, and I think that I'm pretty good about taking his feedback. I really value his opinions and his ability and his coaching, and I know that he's a great coach, and so it's really fun to go out and ride and session things and figure it out with him. And at most of the races, even if he's racing, we practice together, and that's where I feel the most comfortable. And
look at certain sections of the course and stuff and talk about line choices and things like that.
Just trying to follow him down the tracks too. It's a good way to practice for me.
Yeah.
But and then when he isn't racing, or when he is racing and things like that, he's the one that he takes care of my bike and everything at the races as well.
Oh, nice.
So.
He's your team mechanic.
Yeah, he is a really great mechanic as well.
Awesome. It's good to have. The support is a huge part of it too. If you're doing
huge.
It yourself, and or just going to whatever random bike shop and crossing your fingers that whoever's working on your bike knows what they're doing. Or whatever. Yeah. So, we're recording this in mid-June 2018. So how's the season gone so far?
So far, the season's going pretty well. A little hiccup in Moab, but no big deal. Just a minor mechanical that unfortunately is part of racing. Yeah. And
blame Phil.
Don't tell him that. No, it's definitely my fault, but that's okay. And I pushed hard for the rest of the stages and still managed to finish third out of a field of women. So that was a really awesome race. And then I've already had the first big mountain enduro race in Santa Fe. Okay. And that one's always a good one. It's a one-day race, and it's full of good, hardy transfers and also some drops and just gnarly rock sections. So it's a fun one. So for someone who doesn't know, what do you mean by transfer? Yeah, so the transfer is the section of trail that you're climbing up that's not timed. So in the middle of the downhill, is that right? Or not in the middle of the downhill, after you're downhill. Yep, so typically you race between 3 and 5 stages a day. Okay, so this is all in one day. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, yep. So after you finish stage 1, you're climbing up to stage 2. That would be your transfer. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, let's take a quick break. On this week's Crested Butte Real Estate Minute, I thought I would read a recent review from a buyer that I had who had a lot of twists and turns in their journey to becoming homeowners here, and it's as follows. We just closed on a home with Frank as our realtor, and we couldn't be happier with his excellent sense of service and professionalism.
When working through a complex transaction, which had many moving pieces, Frank kept us organized, informed, and advised with his expert opinions, which ultimately led us to become Crested Butte property owners. I would use Frank again in the future and would highly recommend him as a top-notch realtor in the Gunnison Valley. Thank you guys so much. I'm really glad that we made it to the end. And if you have any questions about Crested Butte or Gunnison real estate, please give me a shout. My website is crestedbutterealestateagent.com, and you can find my contact info there. Let's get back to the show. How do you train? Like, do you just go out and ride, or are you actually like training with like a heart rate monitor and timing yourself and like really training, I guess, so to speak?
Oh, that is such a loaded question. So training involves eating ice cream, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Definitely.
I think that I don't formally train. I know what days work best for me to take a rest day before races. I know my body does really well if I take a certain day off before races, just to give myself some time to recover before, practicing hard and racing hard for, it's usually like 4 days in a row. So training leading up to that, it's really hard for me to train in an area like this because it's so beautiful and I just want to go out on trail rides with my friends all the time, which are inadvertently doing intervals. Climbing up Teocalli Ridge is like doing 10 micro intervals in a row, and so I like to just count that. And
then on the way down, you're going to ride as fast as you can, right? And pretend that you're in a race, or do you not necessarily go full bore?
No, I would say I hardly ever go full bore when I'm out trail riding with friends or with Phil, or Phil's my friend too, but when we're out trail riding, I never really go out full bore. I did this spring a little bit at Hartman's, and I was like, whoa, I've never really done that before, but it felt really good. Maybe I should do more of this and have that be kind of training. Didn't really happen, but my intentions are there, but I get a little distracted by just wanting to ride what I want to ride every day and not have to worry about going out on the road and doing things like that. But that being said, just because I don't ride on a road bike doesn't mean I don't ride road. I mean, riding trails around here, there's plenty of dirt roads to ride.
We do a lot of roads here, which personally I love, but I know some people wish they could ride up and down single track, but I think it's nice to just like veg out and just like ride up a road and not have to worry about what you're riding.
I'm sort of glad that some of these things don't have single track all the way up them, because I would choose the single track always.
Right.
But having the roads there is it's really good to improve your fitness, and it's just a consistent pace up a slope, like Reno Road up to the top of Flag, and it's great training. It might not be just like someone telling me to go ride for endurance pace for an hour and a half, but that's what it is. It's perfect.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And you know how long it should take, so you can kind of keep track.
Yeah.
So what are some of your favorite rides then in Crested Butte?
Ooh, I think if I were to pick one loop to do for the rest of my life, and that's all I could ever ride, I think it would be Reno, Flag, Bear, Deadman's.
Really? That would be the one, huh?
You just get 3 great descents.
Yeah, you do.
And it makes you forget about the little punchy climbs in between. But, I think that there's a good variety. I love how Flag is just flowy and loose, sandy, and
a little more pedally too
pumpy
than the other two.
And Bear is just it's burly. It's fun. You're going fast, and then Deadman's you get to all the corners and working on switchbacks and things like that.
You definitely get your switchback.
How many of them
training?
Are there?
I don't know. I've heard a million different numbers. 30 something, 40 something.
I usually lose track. I like forget when I'm having too much fun on the way down.
Totally. If you're really giving it, then you start to lose track. Cool. So that would be your one, huh?
I think that would be my one. I mean, I definitely have other favorites. Teocalli is one of those ones that the first time I rode it, I was like, that wasn't worth all the hype.
Really?
But the more I've ridden it, the more I really like it.
That one's growing on you, huh? Okay.
Yeah, my one of my goals last summer, I like to set trail goals instead of like race goals. And
sure.
things like that. And so one of my goals was to try and clean the climb on Teocalli and without walking.
And did you get it?
I got it. It took me almost all summer, but I got it.
Are you allowed to stop and do a tree stand or no stopping as well?
I did stopping. I think this year I'm going to try and do it no stopping.
Nice.
But I was pretty pumped, and it turned out to be just the final rock move, and I just watched Phil ride it, and I was like, I never thought about doing it like that before, and that's all it took. So
it's cool that way that biking. Sometimes you just watch somebody else and you're like, oh, now I get it.
How'd they make it look so easy?
Yeah, and it's that way. Rock climbing, you'll see someone like, oh, I didn't realize that was the handhold. Or there's lots of sports that do that. But,
yeah, I'm sure.
So you're also a coach here. So how'd that start, and what's that like?
So when we first moved out here, we had some friends that lived out here already, and immediately everyone was like, "You need to meet the Nolan family. Like they run Crested Butte Devo, and they do kids programs all summer, and you and Phil would be perfect for that." And I called Amy in December, I think, and was like, "Hey, I just moved to town." And I know it's the middle of winter, but I'm interested in coaching for you next summer. Let me know. And we met for coffee, and it was like I knew instantly that it was going to be awesome. And started coaching that summer, and coached 2.5 days a week, I think. And then realized about the middle of August that I hadn't taken a day off my bike in a while. And so I was like, okay, like maybe we should adjust this a little bit for next year if I'm considering doing a lot more racing, because I didn't realize how labor-intensive enduro racing is. It's 4 days in a row of practicing and racing, and it's a lot, especially when you're on your bike working coaching it is work, but it's so much fun. And then so we adjusted it a little bit, and I've been coaching 2 days a week all summer, and then also working with the high school league in the fall.
Nice. And that's cross country then?
That is cross country, yeah. And then just this year we started the junior enduro program.
Nice.
Which started in April, and we have 12 kids on the junior enduro team, and it's been amazing. They're just senders. It's awesome. Like going out with a ride with them is just it's pure fun. We stop and session things, and a lot of the time they are riding things just the same as I am, if not better. And so it's a great group of kids. It's awesome.
And how old are these kids?
The youngest is 12, and the oldest I think will be a senior this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, so they have gone to the Scott Enduro Cup race in Moab. We had 8 athletes there. And then the last one in Angel Fire, New Mexico, was a little bit lighter. It was the last week at school, and the kids were doing the right thing and taking their exams, so a little bit lighter there.
So they had to skip it.
Yeah, we'll have a couple more races throughout the summer that we'll be going to, and they'll be there, and we'll coach them through practice, and then Phil will race with them, and I will race with the women.
Nice. That's super fun. Have you ever been coached yourself, like other than just so you've been coached too?
Yeah, I have been coached. When I raced cross country, the last 2 or 3 years that I was racing cross country, I did have a coach, Brian Motter, and he was amazing and loved every minute of it. And I think it's really helped me, even with enduro. I still, from that, I know my body, and I know when I need a break, and I know in the winter when I'm riding the trainer just for peace of mind, just to make sure I'm keeping my legs moving and stuff like that. I can incorporate little interval workouts that I've done in the past that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable with starting the season and things like that, especially living here in Crested Butte, where we have snow sometimes until, June.
Totally.
So,
Totally. That's the reason I asked that is because, I know for myself, I just used to ride a bike, and I've never been taught anything. I've figured it out, I guess. Some of it, who knows, I might be doing it all wrong, but that's what they say, that it's if you can teach somebody, then you really have mastered a skill. So that's got to be good to take what you were taught and then teach Devo.
Yeah, and along with that, Phil and I are both BICP, or Bicycle Instructor Certification Program skills instructors, and so we have continued our education that way and taken our level 1 and our level 2 course and learned how to teach these skills that we use every day, and that has really helped. And it's a really great tool for coaching, for sure. I use it every day when I'm coaching. And
what's that course like? Like how long of the course is it? And like how does that go about?
Yeah, definitely. So level 1, I think, was a long weekend, and we went through everything from like how to guide a ride to breaking down how to teach a front wheel lift. And then level 2 gets a little bit more in depth. You go over things like high-speed cornering, front wheel lift, rear wheel lift, roll down lunges, and things like that. And I just feel that no matter how awesome of a mountain biker you think you are, I think there's always something to be learned. And learning to teach those skills, I learned so much in both courses, and it's just amazing to see what I'm doing and see what I could be doing better. And so not only did it help me with my coaching abilities, it also helped my riding.
Oh, I'm sure. Sure, big time.
Yeah, for sure.
So you meant, what is a roll? What did you say? A
roll down lunge.
Roll down lunge.
It's a fancy term for like the body position and things that you use when you're rolling down a rock roll, or you're peeking over something on a new trail and you don't know if it's going to be a drop or if it's going to be a rollable object. And so you're peeking over, making sure that you can roll it, and then making that decision, and then...
So you're like going forward over your handlebars a little bit to get a look, and then going back. Is this what I'm picturing? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. So you're like peeking, and then you're
rolling back. Huh. I remember riding with my brother, who doesn't really ride mountain bikes very much, and I was trying to explain to him like throwing your bike over an obstacle. That was the only way I could explain it.
Yeah.
Like throwing your handlebar up and over something. I don't know what that would be called. But
kind of like that, I guess.
It's
for
like
sure.
a momentum move.
Yeah, definitely.
Because momentum is kind of the key in a lot of things I've found. But anyway.
Definitely.
Well, let's start to wrap it up a little bit, but I'm sure you have some sponsors, so now's your chance to mention them and thank them.
Yeah, definitely. So Trek has been on board since I raced cross country, and so awesome. I've been racing Trek bikes for all but 1 year I've raced.
Okay,
and so they've been a huge supporter and have been supporting more now that I'm in racing enduro and things like that, and they've been awesome. And along with Trek comes Bontrager, which is great to have the team of companies there. It makes things really easy, and Bontrager makes some great products as well. And Shimano is on board this year, new one.
Nice.
And so I'm pretty pumped about that. They just released their new 12-speed drivetrain, which I'm pretty psyched about.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Can't wait to try that. But Shimano, and then Podium Wears makes all my sweet jerseys and all my race kits, and they're just a super awesome group of people. It's all made in Minnesota, and so that's
almost home.
Yeah, almost in the Midwest. Yeah, for sure. And then Honey Stinger, CB South Fitness, Crested Butte Devo, and Flat Tire Defender is a wheel insert that I use to protect my rims when I'm riding all these courses that are super rocky and gnarly. It really helps to prevent pinch flats and keeps if you do end up puncturing your tire. I actually have had to ride it down in a stage before on pure rock, and my rim was untouched. So it's pretty amazing.
So that's not like stands or something. That's like an insert that's like, what is it made out of?
It's a foam insert that you put inside your tire along your rim, and then your tire goes over it, and then you still put in your sealant, and then seal it all up, and it's kind of tubular, and it really helps against rocks and protects your rims and things like that.
Cool.
It adds a little bit of weight, which I know a lot of people are really concerned about weight, but I feel like the added protection is worth every ounce. So.
Well, for sure, for racing like you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it's more worth it than getting a flat and then you're just out. So.
Yeah, and you don't want to break a wheel either.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So Crested Butte is home, and Gunnison Valley is home. So why Crested Butte? Why not somewhere else?
It's a small town. I love the small town feel of it, and I love skiing. Everyone asks me what I do all winter when I can't ride my bike, and the answer is always, well, I'm at the mountain. I'm skiing. It's the best part about living here is having 4 seasons.
Right.
Summer, mud, winter, mud.
Mud season's my favorite season because that's when the skiing's really good, in my opinion.
I know.
Anyway.
Yeah, I love spring skiing. I just love skiing.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge reason why we love it here as well. The mountain biking is top notch. The skiing is top notch, and the town is also top notch. So
yeah. So you're just saying that now. So how does skiing and biking, how do they feed off each other for you?
Oh, they totally are similar in certain ways. I mean, they're both power sports. They're both like, it requires a lot of leg strength and stuff to be able to hold your edges and moguls and things like that. And it also, like, the speed. The speed is really similar. If you're flying down International going.
That's a lot faster than you're ever going on a bike, I bet.
Ooh, how fast do you think you go down International?
I think way faster than you realize.
Really?
Yeah. I got towed behind a buddy's snowmobile once, and he's like, how fast do you think I was going? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, I was going 60.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, that felt super normal.
I've gone 45 on a bike before, but...
I think on International, like, if it's clear and you're just, like, going as fast as you feel like going, I think you're going faster than that. But maybe not.
It's true, but...
Anyway.
I mean, it gets you used to going fast, so you're going faster than on a bike, and so when I'm on a bike, I notice that it doesn't seem to really scare me that I'm going that fast. I'm just used to it from skiing and things like that. It also, I mean, just being out in the elements, being out in the wind and skiing and things like that, it makes you mentally tougher. And I think that really transfers over to especially trails like in Crested Butte, where you have to be pretty mentally tough to climb up some of these things to be rewarded with the amazing downhills. So
yeah, for sure. For sure. If someone wants to learn more about you, where could they go?
You can visit my website. I have it's Cooper Dendel at Weebly.com.
Okay.
Or I also have Instagram, and my Instagram handle is Cooper Dendel, Dendel, Ott, and that's probably the best places to get a hold of me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else I should have asked that I forgot to ask or didn't know to ask?
Well, you didn't ask me my favorite ice cream flavor.
I didn't. Okay, what is that?
All of them.
All of them?
Like all the ice cream.
Okay, there's got to be one, though.
Probably peppermint stick.
Peppermint stick?
Yeah, growing up, I mean, my dad's allergic to chocolate, and so we always had peppermint stick ice cream instead, and it's delicious.
So peppermint stick, like little chunks of like the peppermint, like Christmas candy thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's amazing.
With like vanilla ice cream, or is it?
Yeah, it's vanilla ice cream with peppermint candy chunks in it, and I highly recommend it with hot fudge on top.
Wow, that sounds pretty good.
It's pretty good.
All right, and one last question. Who else should I interview?
Holly's going to be mad at me, but Holly Onala, she's amazing, and the more I get to know her, I think she's just a really awesome human being, and she has a lot of cool adventure stories.
She does. She does, and she, for anyone who doesn't know her, she wrote the book on about Crested Butte mountain biking.
She literally wrote the book.
And it's a good book too. She's got some random stuff in there, which not just the classics, which is super cool.
Yeah, so. We owned that book before we moved out here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And good luck with the rest of the year.
Thanks.